Let's go!
So the next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer.
Which should give us full communication and full control over all the sensors.
But so far, being able to log in and review every lap has been a huge plus. To have Link pull through and step up for us and just help us out to be able to all pull it together.
That's all we need. Simple, cheap, easy, works, good ECU, weatherproof.
It's got enough IOs too, like we're doing tons of stuff. Oil, fuel pressure, boost control.
All those features I have thanks to the Link ECU.
GT Radio. Experience ultra high performance.
The final touch to my dream build is a Sony Mobile ES system. Time to cruise with Sony Mobile ES.
Motorsports で得た高度な技術、すべてのレイズホイール、一本に込める魂は永遠に変わらない。Beyond the Revolution. The concept is racing.
We are flying into a very hot and humid Worldwide Technology Raceway. Make some noise, St. Louis! Signed, sealed, delivered. Send it! Come on! There's a lot at stake here.
Already getting wild out here.
Bang! Look at Alec Robinson. And he tries to risk it, but ends up fighting into the dust. Look at this, the lights are on. This is round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Olsen gets a little too aggressive, bites off more than he can chew. Look at the proximity from Odie Bakshi. Come on, boys, let's get a winner. Odie Bakshi gets the win. Set it. We'll see you online, or we'll see you another time. See ya.
What is going on, St. Louis? Welcome back to the practice show. As always, my name is Jacob Gettins, and today we're going to be doing things maybe a little different. I mean, not that different, but I got Robbie Nishida here with me. We're going to break down a couple of things. We want to talk about track layout. Obviously, there's a couple of changes that have happened. We want to talk a lot about judging, some of the decisions there, and just chat about the drivers. I mean, the practice show traditionally been a little bit more of kind of interview thing. This is going to be like, Robbie and I basically hanging out watching drifting, the same as everybody at home. So, Robbie, how's the trip over, man?
What's up, guys? Yeah, it's a good evening and good night, guys. No, just kidding. All right, so back here in the States for the St. Louis round. This is exciting. Like you said, let's check out the track right now, talking about some of the changes that we had from compared to last year. Outside zone 1 has a long wall along there, so it's totally different because before there was a little bit of a give where you throw the car in too hard, you could still get into the grass, maybe tip a tire or two, but now, yeah, the wall's not giving. We saw, maybe a couple of cars that actually went into the wall.
That, yeah.
Tested it out today, unfortunately. But other than that, the last outside zone 4 area, there were some changes, last-minute changes that we had to, and I think FD had to adapt to it because of certain
some
things
track
that we had.
changes,
Yeah, exactly. So they had to kind of make a different arc at the last turn, but at first at the drivers meeting, all the drivers were kind of like, okay, what is this? And everybody is kind of anxious and worried about the difference and the change in the track layout. But man, looking at the practice right now, I mean, everybody's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, getting through here like this. I mean, that looks good. Like Andy really dialed that. I think one of the things we've noticed a lot of is the way you come out of 3 is basically going to dictate what 4 looks like. So there's kind of like a consistency in leaving 3 a little bit early, what happens, and leaving it a little bit late, what happens, and kind of manifests itself at 4.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, we're just like looking, of course this is going to be the first time we did, do the pro spec already, but judging this track, this is going to be the first time for us as well. This changes, not at this venue, but with the changes we were dissecting, and right here, there,
yes,
Dylan
that's a
went
good
through.
exit.
That's a pretty good exit, leaving outside zone 3. If the driver doesn't leave outside zone 3 at the end of the outside zone 3, if they leave earlier, that kind of chokes up the chase car and also sets up the lead car going into the outside zone 4 with shallower angle because they kind of have to stretch it out.
Yeah, you hang brake a lot to get through it.
Yeah, so fluidity and smoothness throughout the track is always the key to running a good lead. And I think that area, and also we probably talked about earlier, we were talking about this. After outside zone 1, going into the outside zone 2, that's something that you don't want to hang out too long at outside zone 1 where that could also choke up the...
That was good for Connor. I mean, these guys drive together so much. Like, this should be good, but it looks like Connor left a good time. Man, good.
Yeah, look at that transition.
That was good.
Super close to the bump.
It's like Sorensen is learning from Connor, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like...
That was sick.
I mean, last, what was it?
Like in Orlando.
They were on fire.
Arguably some of the best battles we've ever seen. Like, it was nuts. But yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, seeing just watching practice and everything else has been fantastic, and it didn't take long for them to adapt to it. I mean, obviously, like there was.
I know,
some
right? It's like
concerns,
drivers meeting. Everybody always says like, "Oh man,
what about
they're
this?
concerned."
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
but shoot, they're pros. They go out there and lay down some crazy runs, and I mean, they're handling it really good. So
yeah, and I think too, like the extra, let's say 20 feet that's added into 4. Has kind of given drivers more time to be able to tuck in, whereas when the finish line was shorter, you had almost no time to tuck in, and we saw those like drastic dives.
Yeah,
it seems like they're being a little bit more patient now, which is really good. It makes it a little bit easier. So, yeah, we got Rome up here. I mean, coming in just after Connor, teaming up, which is kind of cool. Very late addition, having Connor in. It literally came down to the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, watching these drivers Rome from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in a brand new, or a different car from last year pretty much, and looks like he's doing it great. He was talking about, the 1 Series chassis. Or is this the 2? This is the 1? The 1?
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it is
or
1 Series.
Or it's a BMW coupe.
Yeah.
But he said, it's very different, and maybe he didn't like it as much as his E36, but he looks like he's, driving the wheels off it almost. And then Shanahan in the left-hand drive car, usually he drives right-hand drive cars in different platform and E36. I mean, yeah, it's like from the get-go this year, he's been, on fire too. So that kind of proves that, Rome probably knows what he's doing, putting cars together and setting them up. So this is a really good team because you got good drivers that know how to, set up the cars really well, and it really shows.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how that progression has gone from both. I mean, what they're learning from each other, right?
Yeah.
And then Ryan Woodrow followed behind.
And Ryan, we already think too. It's like that's something cool too because it is about trying to win and compete and everything, but at the same time also having your own style.
Yeah, doing it your own way, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's something hats off to him too. So.
Let's see, Rome leads I wouldn't say touch early, but it's on the earlier side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are watching, sometimes we could say they're not deep enough. They look super deep, but we're just getting, super nitpicky because everybody's really good.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to now is like everybody is so good that you have to be basically perfect. So
hey, that's another E36 right there.
Yeah.
And like what I think is crazy about this car, I think it's a front radiator. It's a 2J, and I think he skipped a round this year, right?
Yeah, skipped around already.
But man, it's like just imagine if he stuck around and did all the rounds. Running for the series would probably be something that he could have gone for too. Look at this, like right on the outside.
Well, everybody talked about like getting him in that car, like when he was in the RTR. Like, oh, you'd be so much better if you were in the right. Like that was kind of a big thing on that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
what happened there?
Yeah.
That looked like it looked like it kind of gripped up through that first part of that zone.
But I think it's the talking to all these drivers, and also something with the steering maybe.
Oh, you're right.
Belt came off, or power steering went out.
Or something locked out. I mean, he had a ton of angle there. That could be power steering.
Yeah.
That wheel looks a little cambered, but it's hard to tell if it's not matching.
No, I think he's wiggling it because maybe it's
look at the dead spot.
Locked or.
See how much like his hands were moving, but it wasn't actually going on.
Man, if you guys never driven like a drift car with like grippy big tires on the front and the power steering go out on it like mid drift, man, it's like it'll just it'll like break your wrist. So that's when you gotta hit up the gym and get buff.
Yeah. A couple of drivers have done like laps without power steering. You hear about it, but no, I think this is good. I mean, the Nissan's still parked at the shop now, and I have no idea if there's like any progression on that.
But
was weird.
I've been looking at a lot of these drift cars, and the E36 is kind of compact.
Yeah.
You can pretty much stuff whatever motor into it. It's a front rack. It's a front strut. It's not double wishbone. So I think that might be like the ultimate I don't know, drift car type. I don't know.
It really comes down to
setup.
like BMW chassis and S chassis. Like that's kind of where we're at. Like that's the meta.
And the GRs, the GR86s.
Yeah, but I mean, I would argue the BMW series and then obviously the S chassis series are like that. That's kind of the best we've got right now.
And then
we're just developing from there.
The S chassis guru here.
Yeah, exactly.
Odie's like second and Olsen is in fourth or something?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure from Olsen's perspective, like, he's got Osbo just in front of him, and then he's got Odie after that. So, like, for him, the motivation is, okay, beat, my countryman, and then beat my teammate / team owner. Like, that's pretty sick. And then Hurst next to him. I mean, have you seen Hurst's new rap?
Yeah, that's
wild.
What were you talking about? It looks like
a fishing lure.
Fishing lure, yeah.
I mean, like in the best way, right?
So the S chassis, back to the car stuff, like, I, watch a lot of drifting all over the world in Japan and over here.
Yeah.
But I really think that Odie is probably one of the maybe top 3 guys that knows how to set up an S chassis.
Whoa.
He does it really well. Man, we start talking, all these things start happening. Power steering goes off. There's,
Hurst didn't give enough room though.
Yeah, that was I think those of you who are going to watch it tonight too, we're going. It's a short run up, and a lot of the guys want to tuck in behind or get really close to the back quarter or the side of the rear of the car. But yes, the lead car has the right of way when they leave the start line, and the chase car has to give them enough space.
The hard part though is like obviously from like Hurst's perspective is like, look, Odie's fast.
Oh yeah,
he's
he
so
went
fast.
for it.
And Hurst comes from drag racing, which a lot of people don't.
Oh really?
Like, yeah. Like he has a drag racing background, so he's going to be able to launch off the line as quick as most drivers.
Hey, that was Sopa. Shouldn't he be here sitting and talking?
He's got that part done for the day. The dude worked.
Yeah, he did the prospect, so you'll hear him tomorrow.
Yeah.
At the prospect, the top 32 I guess they put Odie back.
I think they're going to let him run again.
Yeah, because he got hit.
Yeah, because I mean they didn't even make it up to run up, and I mean there is like something else that's interesting is there is like a lap limit, and they're only allowed to get 12 laps in a day.
Yeah.
So because Odie wasn't even able to make it, I'm trying to remember where the cutoff is. Chris is right there. Maybe he'll tell me. But there's like a certain part of the track they have to get to, and that's considered a lap.
Yeah, that's right.
Let Odie run again.
So here you go, Odie, second in the series, and we just saw James Dean right there first. So this is going to be the
74 points between.
Or how about this? Who wins this wins the championship.
What do you mean, like
right now?
Right now.
This next battle we see, whoever wins that one is going to win the championship.
We'll just call it right now.
Yeah, let's go. Who do you guys think it's going to be?
I see. I mean, that's so tough. I mean, James is on an 11 podium streak right now between both series.
Oh, wait, they're not running
They're not going to run him.
Oh, man.
Well, James was in the lead line, so he
okay.
So when they run, this actually decide lead or chase.
Yeah, you got to keep fair because some people will just be like, I choose.
There were times previously where like the lead line was full and nobody could out. Now that with the seating, that guys would want it. Because like before seating, you would try and set your car for qualifying.
Yeah.
Like you would literally take all that practice time for qualifying, so nobody's running the chase because they're like, well, why would I? I'm not going to chase until whatever. So. Yeah.
All right, so very different car. Not familiar in Japan, in my eyes, but the Mustang looked like it's working. The RTR car is crazy.
Yeah.
That's another car that I would love to try to drive just to see how it feels because it's, you know, James drives it, but it's funny. I don't know how different the setup is, but when James drove it and Chelsea, when Chelsea drove it last year too, it looks like two total different cars. But they said it's similar to go up, so it must be the driver. I don't know.
Yeah.
The way they drive it or something. I'm not sure. But
there's differences between all of them, like all the different ones. One of them is power steering. James has like a very particular way that he likes power steering. It's a particular pump and everything. So he brought that to the table last year. I know they tested it back and forth. I don't know if Chelsea ran it. I would say Chelsea is definitely like a foot to the floor as much as possible.
Yeah.
At one point, like I remember, I think he posted like his throttle log, and it was crazy.
And he's like, I'll just drive it like this.
Yeah, whereas James just knows how to do everything.
Yeah.
This one's cool. I mean, Stugie's got the lightest car on the field right now.
He's on a 255, yeah?
Yeah.
Tire to weight rule?
Yeah, so he's I think even still, like he's still got, like he would run the 255 no matter what.
And you got OG Chris Forsberg here.
And he adapted to this last zone quicker than most drivers. I wouldn't say the fastest overall, but like kind of looked at it and was like, yep, I know what to do.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah, Stugie's I mean, that was a good run on Stugie's end, so.
And then there you go, Minoa Hiroya. I've known him since he was 0.
Really? Damn, all right. This is got to be kind of cool for you then.
Yeah, so yeah, like they say, like there's like 5, 6, 7 or something like that, all tied in points. He's sitting in 7.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much, still in the mix for,
To be tied with Ken then, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. The OG, the original Wonder Boy now makes me like the current Wonder Boy.
Well, 4 people
tied. But yeah, that's cool that we're going into the 5th round and we have that much of a tie at that point. That's sick.
Yeah, but like Minoa, 14 years old. I don't even know what I was doing when I was 14.
I wasn't doing this, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't doing this for sure.
So Ken, Brandon Sorensen, Manoa, and Matt Field are all tied.
Hey, but that's cool because before it was like Ken was the super young.
Yeah,
now he's OG.
Like, it's like
then we had a driver in Prospect too that was 15 today.
Okay.
And now like the age is coming down, and I'm kind of glad that I retired when I was 40.
You got it.
A couple of years ago, yeah, because it's like, oh man, I don't want to
go back. Novak's, his practice has not been great. It looks like he's struggling with something. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, hopefully he could work out whatever, because he's one of those guys who he's qualified first before.
He's had a perfect event.
He's been on the podium, like you said, in Irwindale. And who was chasing him right now? Was that?
It was Dimitri Brutsky.
Dimitri, okay, yeah. Dimitri, he just drove Prospect. That's 2 different cars.
2 different cars, but he's still putting in a lot of seat time. 2 different cars, 2 different tires. It's funny, like I've heard back and forth about running both series, if it's a benefit or a drawback, because it's like cool, yeah, you get a bunch of lap time, right?
Yeah.
That part's great. But now you're dividing the amount of energy and attention you have between 2 series. You're not giving one series everything.
Yeah.
You can't.
There you go, Matt Field. He's sitting 8th, but I remember, watching Jersey, because I wasn't there last event, but then, yeah, his wheel flew off after initiation.
Yeah.
And he kind of knocked himself out. So.
His new C8.
Yeah. Check out his social media. It's been a long project.
Yeah.
I think, they don't want to rush it to get something It's going to be a spectacular build.
And it seems like it's built for a demo, but it's also like very much a research project. Like we're starting to see people. I mean, Chelsea Denofa with the Porsche.
Yep.
You know, we're starting to see what about mid-engine? Like, did we?
Yeah, I just bought a MR Spider just to make it a missile.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was talking to Chelsea about it. It's like, oh, mid-engine's cool. It's like, hey, I'm just going to get the cheapest one I could find.
I think we know enough now about mid-engine that it's fine. So.
Yeah, so that's Brandon right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another young driver that's
20 years old.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
came off the podium 2 rounds ago.
Yeah. Family, Orlando. Yeah, third there. Mando, obviously.
So they're all based from Vegas.
Vegas, and I think they split their time between there and Utah. I know their family's got a house in there.
And his sister also competes in other
everything.
Yeah, because she was on the podium.
Yep. In New Jersey.
Yeah, in Jersey.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, all they do is race. Like doing interviews and chatting with them, like they come from a family of racing, and that's all that they know. But what's sick though is like Amanda covers so much of the sponsorship and like business side of it, and then Brandon's like cars and logistic and getting everything there. And they split the duty between it.
That's pretty cool.
They make it work, and it's cool. Ooh, so it was an interesting initiation there
by
from
Taguchi,
yeah, you saw that too, where he's like kind of ahead of him and had to tuck back. And Brandon made a bit of a correction there. So everybody's really, they're leaving that zone at the correct time. So they've got it dialed.
You know, I'll already tell you now, this is going to be hard. This round's going to be hard to judge because looks like a lot of the drivers are doing really, really good. So here you go right here. Steph Papadakis.
Yeah. Man, this is always like...
Yeah, both of the drivers. We've got Ryan and
as a team owner, like, do you want to send both cars out? Because, like, what if something happens, right? No,
I'd be like, hey, keep a distance there.
Yeah,
but
Steph, they won't.
That, but
neither of these drivers will.
They won't, yeah.
No.
So I guess, so Turk is on... He's running the same motor as the Super now.
Yeah, well, look at the weight jacket on Osbo. That's interesting. So taking a little bit of like RTR notes there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Transition notes.
Yeah, because when I looked over in the spotter stand, there's like 5 people.
Our spotters booth is pretty
go?
empty. Everyone's on the roof.
Yeah.
I actually really like hanging out up there.
I like it here because there's AC.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Mike Power, and then we got Simon Olsen.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Simon, I think he came in. He was driving the Supra before, and now he's driving this car, and it's nothing new. But yeah, I think Odie's doing a great job with this program.
Yeah, he's really.
And Power's another young driver that's kind of been in FD for maybe just a few years. Right?
Yeah. I mean, did pretty well in pro spec. The jump up to pro is a huge one. He struggled a little bit, so really solid there. So this is what we mean. See how Power, like, he left that zone early, had to dive through. Simon did a great job of anticipating and checking the car up. But that's a perfect example of what it looks like when you leave the zone early, is you have to slide out way too far. So just not a good way to do it. And so what's interesting is, like, I haven't seen Hobson out. And like looking through this, I know practice for him looked a little bit better. I got some inside info. They made some changes to the car. I won't say exactly what they are, but to help kind of fit his style a little bit more, which is interesting because that's something that they did with, they've done it with Adam. The RTR's done it with all the drivers, so it's not uncommon. But it looked like they struggled with a little initiation.
Yeah. There you go. It's a Nissan with the RB in it.
So explain to me, like, from the driver perspective, if you come in a little bit too hot and you're leading the car a bit, how do you get the car to fall back like that? What are you doing in that situation? Is that just like an e-brake off throttle and the car slides back, or?
Yeah, I guess you
can use your hands if you want.
It's different, like how you have to maintain it, but I think you kind of have to, when you do, like, let's say a transition, and for instance, if you're in the chase position, here's a leader, you're like this.
Yeah.
You have to start to kind of have that in mind where you have to tuck behind because this guy's going to transition and you don't want to be too close. So in that case, you could either bake the tire more or start letting off.
Interesting. So by adding throttle, you can actually slow
you
the
could
car.
kind of give it that last oomph.
Okay.
Of like before you go and do a transition, you could give it more gas and still give it that last. It's almost like a slingshot where you're kind of loading the car more.
Okay.
So there's different ways. Some people e-brake it, some people left foot brake it and kind of wait.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you see a lot of the tandems, like in Jersey, we saw like Shanahan does it all the time, but then a lot of the guys that are like super close, like nose to tail transitions, those are like when it's timed perfectly. And also it doesn't happen if the lead car isn't doing what the lead car is supposed to do.
That's a good point.
So usually lead car does a great job, then the chase car could just give them their all, giving chase in the chase position. There you go.
Castro, see. Oh yeah.
I think that.
See there, yeah. So that was too late of a transition.
Yeah, it was late of a transition, and I think Dylan might have kind of stayed in it a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's super tough. And now we're also dealing with track cooling. You know, we talk about that a fair bit, but it has a massive difference.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think we're going to start the competition in a little bit too. So I'm going to go and get ready to go judging.
You actually got to get ready to go, don't you?
I actually do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
This
we'll
is
talk
fun.
more next time.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we got to do this. It's cool to get your perspective as both driver and judge, and then obviously from the Japanese side of things. So
yeah.
Thanks, dude. We'll catch you in a little bit. I mean, I'll see you right up there. You're like right in front of me.
Don't hate us.
All right, we'll be back here shortly. Don't go anywhere. Obviously, competition is coming up, and
Thank you, Jacob.
Seating bracket. Thank you, Robbie.
Adios, gozaimashita.
Yes. We'll talk to everybody real soon.